to commission meeting. Would you please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 1 on our agenda is approval of minutes from our last meeting, and those minutes are not finished yet, so we need to table that. Can I have a motion?
I have a motion to table the minutes until the next meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 2 is a presentation of Employee of the Month, Kellie Payne.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Our Employee of the Month this November is Alex Thane from our Recreation Department. Alex has been employed with Carbon County since September of 2019. She has been our sports coordinator for that long, and she just recently accepted a new position within the rec department as the office manager. So if Alex would come up, and Aubrey would like to say a few words.
I nominated Alex and totally didn't tell her, didn't warn her. And I made me a little note because I'm not good at winging it. So Alex is our program coordinator, like Kellie said, and she is in the process of transitioning to be our office manager. She's wearing 2 hats right now, and she's doing it really well. Alex has spent the past few years managing all the athletics in our recreation department, and she takes a lot of pride in it. Our programs wouldn't be where they are without all her work. I can't tell you how many times I've heard her say, I just want the kids to have opportunities. She works well under pressure and always has a good sense of humor, which is a good thing right now because she has a lot on her plate. She's a huge asset to our department, and we're grateful to have her. Thanks.
Well, Alex, I just want to say, appreciate all your efforts. I know there's been a lot of challenges over the last few years, and you've assumed a lot of responsibilities. So appreciate you stepping up and taking on that challenge.
Thank you, Alex. Congratulations. Item 3 is open sealed bids for a UTV side by side with a dump bed for our weed mosquito department.
We did not receive any bids.
Okay, thank you. We had this once before. Maybe we need a motion to acknowledge there's no bids and allow us to go out and find what might be available for purchase.
Yeah, I'll acknowledge that no bids were received for the advertised request for quote, and that will allow the weed and mosquito department to go out and try to round up some bids that will follow the county purchasing policies.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 4 is open sealed bids for surplus property of parcel 1-2079-0000.
We have 2 bids.
This is a small vacant lot on First West and about Third South, somewhere in there.
This bid amount is $5,000, and it's from Nashla Oyayan from Sandy. This other one's from David Black for $5,000 as well.
No, 5,001, like on the.
Okay, both pretty low.
If we have tied competing bids, what do we do in this situation?
We can look at if there's any other factors that would make us, that in the interest of the county, that would make us decide one way or the other. So we take them both under advisement and then decide based on the whole picture.
Okay.
Sounds all right.
Make that motion then.
I'll
Make a motion that we acknowledge both bids and that we'll sit down and review and determine which is best for the county. Proceed forward with one of them.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item 5 is recognition of Bode Salas, Carbon High Senior, as the 3A state champion in golf. Commissioner Martinez.
I'd like to invite Bode and his coach up here, Mr. Coach Etzel. Talk a little bit about how the golf season went this year. We've had you up here before, haven't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Kind of a repeat, huh?
Yeah.
So why don't you guys tell us how the season went and kind of how things finished?
Yeah, so it was a good season all around. We had a pretty good team. We only lost one player from the previous year, but coming in we had some young guys and we were just looking to get better and try to find 4 rounds in the 70s, which I think only happened once or twice. But yeah, no, it was a good season. Our finish at state was really well. Second day at state, we played really good as a team, and I was happy to see that. It was really cool because it almost felt like we won as a team because we played so well the second day. And so, yeah, it was a good season all around. We came up short of region again, like we did last year, to Richfield. But yeah, overall it was fun. So
Yeah, and you know, as a coach, from a coach's point of view, I think if you see progression and kids getting better and better, that's all you can ask for. And I know the first year you kind of took over, you know, things were a little tough, let's say. But as you progress, the team's gotten better and better through the state standings. Obviously, having a leader like Bode helps, but some of the experience you've had as a coach and a player obviously has helped. So you want to talk about the team?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been nice, like you had mentioned, Commissioner, since my first year, I kind of had him and a group of 3 other seniors that have kind of helped give me direction, because you kind of get thrown into that coaching position where this was the first time I'd ever coached anything on the high school level, let alone coached at all. So kind of having them there is support and support one another. So that definitely helped. And I think having a kid like Bode on the team, and obviously those 3 other seniors that continue to improve year over year, I think it pushes the younger kids to improve as well. So obviously there continues to be a lot of interest in the program, which you like to see, especially as the golf coach or any coach for that matter at the high school. So we always look forward to the sequential year and improving. Obviously it's going to be tough for me not having my 4 seniors there. It's going to feel a little different not having them on the team, but I know there's a lot of young kids that are stepping up and a couple freshmen that we're going to pick up next year that they'll give us a good chance to compete again on the region level and the state level as well. So it's been a pleasure to be a coach up at the high school and be with these boys over the last 3 years. So,
And especially seeing them, like Bode, move on to the next level, going to college. I'll let Bode talk a little bit about that, but also you got added to the record book again. I don't know if you know that, but you know, we were kind of giving you a hard time 2 years ago when you won state. But you're in there for another category, and you know, in the 74 years that they've been keeping this, you got one of 17 kids that got it twice. So again, another line in the state yearbook. So I congratulate you for that. How did state play out for you? How did you feel day 1, day 2?
yeah, so before I answer that, sorry, I'll kind of backtrack a little bit. But leading up to state, I felt really prepared. It was kind of like, you know, I was taking it very seriously almost, and I was really prepared. I had a really good game plan. I knew the course really well. I knew every single tee shot, where I wanted to hit it, and where I could miss, and you know, kind of my targets and everything like that. So I was really prepared leading into it, and I was just working on my mental game leading into it, like the week and a half, 2 weeks. I mean, I'm always working on my mental game, but leading up to it especially. So I felt really ready, and then come to state the first day, you know, I didn't play my best golf. I didn't play amazing. I just played decent, but I hung in there, and it kind of gets frustrating sometimes because when you feel really ready and it doesn't happen how you exactly thought it would, it can be frustrating. But I just kind of hung in there, and then after the first day, my goal was to just go out and have as much fun as I could the second day, because if I didn't win, then I at least knew I had fun and kind of left it all out there. So second day, I just try to relax and just play some golf and kind of trust everything that I did. And yeah, same thing. I didn't play my most amazing golf. It wasn't like I was out there just killing it, but I played well and I hung in there. And so it was good enough to get the job done. So we'll take it. But
Well, I just wanted to congratulate Coach and the team, because it is a team effort when you get to state level, but also individually, Bode, for what you've done and accomplished. So I have a couple certificates here that I wanted to pass to you. I've got one here for Robbie Etzel for outstanding Carbon High golf coach, and I'll bring them to you. The other one is for Bode. The first one is for the state championship, 3A state golf champion for 2022-2023. And then the other one for being the 2020-2022 3A golf champion. Again, the 17th kid that's ever done that since they've been keeping records.
yeah, try not to. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you both. You represented us well. Thank you. Next item, oh, go ahead.
If I could add just one thing too. Bode gets a lot of accolades for his golf, what he does, but he is such a good kid. When I've been out at the golf course, and I should say young man, sorry, but I've known you for a little bit. He's just a good, outstanding kid. He's a good leader. He's always one that says thank you and please and looks you in the eye when you talk to him. So really appreciate him and wish him good luck going down to Dixie or Utah Tech, whichever it's being called now. So good luck to you.
Item 6 is congratulations to the state champions, Carbon High School girls cross country, for the first time in the history of the school. Commissioner
It's like I'm on
Martinez.
again. Can I have the cross-country team come up? Now, this one's a little bit different for me. I never did cross-country, so I'm going to have some questions. You ladies are going to have to explain this to me.
Okay.
Is the coach here too, Talise? And
Yeah.
You didn't say it, so I was like,
yeah. Christy too?
she didn't think it.
No? Okay. Well, she doesn't get her certificate then. So you young ladies did cross-country and kind of did some outstanding things up there in Salt Lake this year. Who's going to speak to that? Yeah, you got chosen. Go ahead, and if you would just introduce yourself and the team.
I'm Ambry Jones, and I'm a senior. Do you want everyone to introduce
Sure,
themselves?
why not? We'll get it on the record.
I'm Beverly Lancaster. I'm a senior. I'm Lindsay Fawcett. I'm a senior. I'm Melanie Hampson. I'm a junior.
I'm Rosalind Stowe, and I'm a freshman. I'm Sophie Taylor, and I'm a junior.
And I'm Anna Bradford. And I'm a junior.
And I'm Coach Lee.
Nice, thank you. So tell us how the season went and how state turned out.
So last year we ended in second, and we were pretty close to winning it. So we knew going into this season that we had a chance at winning that state title. So through the summer we worked as a team, and we pushed through those hard workouts, all of our speed works and stuff. And then we went into the first race and we won that one, and then we won a couple other meets. And then region was pretty stressful for us because the team that was the most competitive towards us for state is in our region, and we ended up beating them, but only by 3 points. And then on athletic.net, we were tied with them for rankings going in first. And so going into state, our coach told us that we were ready and we had put in the work. And so we lined up on the starting line and tried not to let our nerves take over. And then we ran a tight pack and we ended up winning.
Very cool. And where do you ladies run too? It's not just like up in the mountains, right? It's golf courses, other tracks, or where do you train for these events?
We just train around town.
Just run around the streets. Hopefully not on the streets though, right?
We try not to.
Can you explain a little bit about how the scoring works when you're competing against other teams and you have multiple team members?
Oh, yeah. So you have a team of 7, and then so when you go into your race, you want to get the lowest amount of points. And so when you cross the finish line, you score the amount of points that the place you end in. So if you end in like 5th, that's 5 points for your team. So we ended with 63 points at state.
The next closest school was Grand at 81, so you smoked them. That's awesome. Well, I have some certificates here, and I don't quite understand all of this too, but did somebody start the race and lead the race and win the race and just blew everybody out? Very
As a
cool.
freshman?
Yeah.
Nice job.
Yeah. So,
She had a very good season. That wasn't the only race that she won. She also won the big national meet that we went to in Idaho, fought for a minute. She's ranked number 9 in the state for the fastest time this year. So she's not just in 3A, she's in the rankings 1A. So
Very
she's the 9th fastest and the fastest freshman, 1A.
So we should see a repeat
That
state
would be
championship next year.
Yeah, that would be
very cool. Well, we want to congratulate the whole team, coach, and your team, and just wish you ladies success in the future. So I've got some certificates here I'll pass out. Just want to again say thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Congratulations. That's quite the accomplishment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So do they give out an individual, like the best runner in the state? Like, or best runner 3A, it's all team.
Right. There's a couple, actually 4 of them are headed to nationals in California in December. So that's kind of where they can showcase its individuals in answer to that question. So a lot of the top individuals will then go on to nationals in December.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, all of you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Item 7 is ratification of the National Association of Counties Green Light for Veterans. Commissioner Martinez.
I wanted to start off, we received an email from David Jellin, who's the American Legion Commander, Price Post 3, Commander of District 5, Southeastern Utah. He wanted to make this announcement. It's the American Legion Price Post 3 is honored to host the Veterans Day 2022, Friday, November the 11th, beginning at 11 a.m. at the Peace Guards in Price. He writes, we'd greatly appreciate your assistance in getting the word out. The use of the attached flyer is courtesy of PZ Printing. Obviously, I didn't print out the flyer, but just an announcement there. And I think Dave's here, or at least was, yeah, back there. The other is a proclamation. It's called Operation Greenlight for Veterans. Basically, this is to show your support for the veterans, what they've done to provide our freedom. And we're going to have a green light put up in the building here to signify the support, and that'll from November 7th through November 11th into Veterans Day. So if you guys would, I'll go ahead and read this. It's supporting the Operation Greenlight for Veterans. Whereas the residents of Carbon County have great respect, admiration, and the utmost gratitude for all the men and women who have selflessly served our county, our country, and this community in the armed forces. And whereas the contributions and sacrifices of the men and women who have served in the armed forces have been vital in maintaining the freedoms and the way of life enjoyed by our citizens. And whereas Carbon County seeks to honor these individuals who have paid the high price for freedom by placing themselves in harm's way for the good of all. And whereas the veterans continue to serve our community in the American Legion, Veterans of Foreign Wars, religious groups, civil service, and by functioning as country veteran service officers in 29 states, and help fellow former service members access more than $52 billion with a B in federal health, disability, and compensation benefits every year. And whereas approximately 200,000 service members transition to civilian communities annually, and whereas an estimated 20% increase of service members will transition into civilian life in the near future, and whereas studies indicate that 44 to 72% of service members experience a high level of stress during transition from military to civilian life, and whereas the active military service members transitioning from military service are at a high rate of risk for suicide during their first year after military service, and whereas the National Association of Counties encourages all counties, parishes, boroughs to recognize the Operation Green Light for veterans, and whereas Carbon County appreciates the sacrifice of our United States military personnel and believes specific recognition should be granted, therefore let it be resolved with designation as the Green Light for Veterans County. Carbon County hereby declares from November 7th through Veterans Day, November 11th, 2022, a time to salute and honor the service and sacrifice of our men and women in uniform transitioning from active service. Therefore, be it further resolved that in observance of Operation Greenlight, Carbon County encourages its citizens in patriotic tradition to recognize the importance of honoring all of those made immeasurable sacrifices to preserve freedom by displaying a green light in a window of their place of business or residence. So again, the county will be putting a green light in this facility to show our support for the veterans. We just want to say thank you. I know Steve, David, although I got a lot of friends and family, that I just want to say thank you, that we have the ability to live a free life and enjoy the things that we do in life because of the military service. So.
Echo that. Thank you for your service and all the citizens of our county who served or past service. It's critical, and we're ever indebted to you for your service.
Just echo the same things. If you've ever lived in another country, you certainly feel blessed to know the freedoms and the many blessings that we have in our country because of those who have served and protected our freedom. So thank you.
Next item is a consideration and possible approval of the 2022 Continued Property Tax Exemption. Seth?
We annually approve our property tax exemption list. We've already done that this year, and we've had a couple of these that have been late applications. This one probably would not be one that we would approve for 2022 tax exemption. If it was approved, it would be for 2023, but nonetheless, they've filled out this application. This is for Vertex nonprofit organization. And they mentioned in their application that they started out by assisting schools across the country get tax exempt financing so they could open with an affordable interest rate. They've moved on, it says, to help charities and healthcare services businesses do the same, become nonprofit. But one thing that they mention here is that they do rent their building or a building, this building, in fact, that I think they're applying for tax exemption. They rent it out to Rocky Mountain Home Health. And so that's something that's a little unique and may be an issue for this application. I think maybe Gillen has some thoughts on this here. But anyways, that's the company and that's what they do. They are a 501c3 nonprofit.
So this is just in regards to one facility.
Correct.
Okay. Gillen, why don't you come up and give us your thoughts on it?
So, in trying to provide the best information for advisement for the commission, doing the research, property tax exemption is governed by the Standards of Practice 2, which is released and updated annually by the Utah State Tax Commission. In this Standards of Practice, it outlines specifically the details and there's 6 specific standards that are for nonprofit hospital or nursing home charitable property exemption applications. These standards were established during Utah County versus Intermountain Healthcare in a court case in 1985. Going through these standards, there's 2 that stand out to me that this particular organization wouldn't be qualifying or passing. The first standard is that the institution owning the property for which the exemption is sought must establish that they're a nonprofit, provide hospital and nursing home care, promote health care, provide health-related assistance to the general public. The institution's property must dedicate the charitable purposes, and upon the dissolution of its assets, must be distributed for tax-exempt purposes under the law, or to a government or public, or to the government for public purposes. If you read their particular charter, once they have a section in their charter for dissolution, and once they have eliminated everything that was given to them as charitable donations, the rest of it can be distributed at the board's discretion. And so what that indicates is that the rental income that they would be generating would not be considered charitable contributions. And so if they had any excess rental income that they generated and they were decided to dissolve, then they would be able to handle that however they chose, which is against the standard one. The next standard that I'd like to highlight is standard 5. The institution owning the property of which the exemption is sought must establish that the total gift to the community exceeds the annual basis of the property tax liability for the year. The Utah Supreme Court's defined the gift to the community as follows, and it could be several different things. It could be donation of time, money, medical discounts, educational services, etc. And in this particular instance, they're stating that the reduction in rent that they're going to be giving is their charitable donation. Their taxes for any given year, for this particular year, is $4,950. And looking at the rental that they'll be generating is $1,900 a month. I think it's 19 something. And I did some research into the local market and found in the same building another unit that has a lease. This lease is for $1,800 a month, and it's the same square footage. It's in the this is actually the unit number 7. I believe they're going to be leasing unit number 4 in that condominium. Because they're getting $1,900 and this lease at market is at $1,800, it would indicate that they're actually getting pretty close to market rent, meaning that they're probably not losing out on anything that that they couldn't otherwise get at market. So based on those 2 standards, there are several others, but based on those 2, it would be the assessor's office recommendation that we do not approve this application.
Any questions for Gillen?
No, it's very thorough. Thank you.
Lynn, have you reviewed this yet?
I have not, so I can't add anything.
Okay. So I guess for me, I'd almost like to take some time and look at that a little closer and make sure that we understand it better.
No, I'd be happy to review it.
Okay.
So we want to table it this time?
So,
okay.
Is that, Seth, will that be okay on your end?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. It's, in our office, they just fill out the application and we're meant to bring it before you. So that's fine with us. Yeah.
So we could review it soon, and if they qualify, the exemption could actually be, it's not for this current year, it would be for next year.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way if it's approved that it should be applied for this year.
Okay.
So.
I'll go ahead and make a motion then that we table this approval of the 2022 approved property tax exemption for Vertex. Is that what they're called? Vertex.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 9 is consideration and possible approval of property tax adjustments. So I think a brief explanation each year. The tax process is several months long, and we all receive, when in May, maybe Seth, help us a little bit with the timing of when those notices go out of what property taxes could be.
Yeah, we generally, in the beginning of July, will send out what's called the disclosure notice, and it's just to disclose to property tax payers what they should expect to pay if there's no adjustment made and what their valuation is. And then that gives them an opportunity to look at it and, if necessary, appeal or dispute.
Okay, so then they get those, and then that notice is pretty specific about what you do if there's a question about it. They're able to come in and set an appointment for the Board of Adjustments, and the county hires a third party to come in and look at the assessed values, and that individual is the one who does the Board of Adjustments and can make adjustments there. When the Board of Adjustment appointments are over with, then the tax rolls are closed. Is that correct? So once the tax rolls are closed, then there's things by law the assessor's office, the treasurer's office, and the clerk's office cannot do to adjust any of those. And so this is the setting where the commission now is charged with the responsibility of looking at unique situations, and the commissioners have the legal right to reduce or waive property taxes and other types of taxes. And we've done that each year. So we've had situations where there's been people in real dire straits and can't pay their taxes, and we've reduced and in some cases waived those so they could stay in their homes. So we have a list today, and we've been getting those coming in this week. So Gillen is going to kind of help explain these, but legally we have to go through these one at a time, and in a public setting, if there's an adjustment to be made at this point, we have to approve or not approve it.
That's correct. And, out of the over 13,000 parcels that we deliver in any given year and then go through that Board of Equalization process, we believe that the small handful that we have now are either because of system error or operator error that the taxpayer themselves should not be held accountable for. And that's what we, in our best determination, believe is the situation on these. And so I'd like to go through each one, and I can answer any questions that you may have.
Yeah, so if we can do that, if we have all of these in front of us, they're maybe not in the right order.
And that's why I say if you would like to maybe go through just what you have on top, and I can, because we only have about a dozen or so.
Okay, so the first one, and maybe it's not even one that needs to be brought up, but this is the one, parcel 2A-0474-0000.
Yes.
This is a non-primary residence on the mountain for a ranch, and there was a mistake on the home site.
The methodology that we use is for the first 0 to half an acre, a set value is given. And when this was put into the system, the first 0 to 2.5, and then the next 2.5 to half acre were both applied. And so what that meant is that it actually doubled the typical value. Any other home site or parcel in that neighborhood would have only had one home site attached. So that resulted in a double taxation for that particular piece of that line item on their taxes.
So this one would actually reduce their taxes about $680.
Yes, sir.
On that parcel. It includes a large piece of greenbelt property as well as the ranch cabin in the lot.
That's right. The error was specifically on just the one that's under their home site, and so the $680 is just the reduction on that.
Any questions on this one? Can we kind of lump these together and Lori, can you keep track of the ones we'll just we'll separate them up here and we'll go through and make a motion at the end. So that one, you okay with that one? Any questions, or do we want to just approve them one at a time?
I don't know what's going to be easiest for you, Lori.
Yeah.
It might be easiest if we approve them one at a time, and that way that we read it in the number, we approve it or not, and then we read in the next number.
So let's have a motion on this one. Parcel 2A-047-0000.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next one is parcel 02-1835-0000. This, I'm not sure we're ready to make a decision on this one. This is a home that actually needs to be reevaluated. It's the value is as of the home being ready to live in, and I guess there's been some extensive damage to it. From the outside, it appears like it's being lived in, but it's not. So new owners purchased it. They're going to remodel it.
That's correct.
What would you recommend on this one, Gillen?
I would. My recommendation is that we actually not make a change, and I would have to base that on the fact that just because they did have an opportunity to come through during the regular Board of Equalization time frame.
Okay. So between the purchase of the property and giving of the initial tax notice,
that would be my initial recommendation, but it's not. It's only a recommendation.
Okay.
It seems like the purchase happened mid-year,
and they would have not received. So I think they contested they did not receive the tax notice, because if it happened mid-year, then that could we've seen that be a concern, but that doesn't necessarily disqualify the value that we attached at the beginning of the year.
So what they claim they're going to do is demo that home and put a new one in. So
once, from your office's viewpoint, the value is still there until it's demoed. Is that correct?
Yeah, we would have until it is completely removed, then we would have kind of held at that value. But that's not to say that that's not the most. That's us being as equitable as possible across the board. But I'm not necessarily saying that that is the most human thing to do.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe this is one we need to table and revisit and try to come up with a solution.
Okay.
What do you think, Tony?
I'll go ahead and make that motion that we table parcel 02-0, parcel number 02-1835-0000.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The next one is on parcel 02-0863-0008. This is for a tax abatement. The abatement application did not come in on time. The gentleman was at the cancer center assisting a relative and just got the paperwork turned in late. So, questions? So he would like to receive the abatement if possible. This one's kind of through Seth's office. Do you have anything?
Do you have an application there for them?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yeah, he brought this in. Lori gave us a copy of it. I think he just brought it in.
Yeah, and maybe
this last week.
Yeah, maybe just to mention on this, we put a deadline of September 1st because of things we talked about previously about having to close tax rolls and adjustments that Kay needs to make to be able to get tax notices out on time. And that's why we have that deadline that's actually set by the state. The state does have a provision for people to be able to apply for an abatement through the end of December. If there's this kind of a situation. So yeah, we try to stick to that September 1st deadline, just because of all the deadlines that we have to hit. So, yeah, if there's a situation that's similar to this, then it can be extended to the end of December. We usually have them bring it before the commission because otherwise we have people doing it every year.
Yeah.
They're late every year. So, so anyways, just FYI.
Because of the extenuating circumstances with being in the cancer center and not being able to get it in on time, he did get it fairly reasonable after that. It would be my motion to approve the abatement extension for parcel number 02-0863-00008.
And before I second, I would say that too. I mean, we don't want anybody's homes. That's not the whole purpose of this. And people do have hardships, and I think we need to work with them. So I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 The next one is for parcel 2A-0191-0001 and parcel 2A-0170-0000. And Gillen, does this one ring a bell? This is the one underwater at Schofield Reservoir.
Yeah, so they raised their concern because we did a detailed review of this area and did go through and reassess land prices for all of Schofield. That increased some parcels that are completely underwater. To be consistent, we kept the same methodology, and we did give them a 50 or 75% reduction compared to land if it was not underwater. One individual came in and challenged that, and during our BOE, and the hearing officer felt that our adjustment for it being underwater was not strong enough, and so they lowered them. And so now when you look at that particular one compared to the others that are underwater, it can appear that it's a lot different. That theirs is I think like 29,000, and the similar 20 acres just adjacent to them is only at 2,900. I mean, that's how far off the hearing officer wanted to be when he looked and said, no, it's underwater. And so here it would be a situation where they're coming before us. They acknowledge that they did not come in during Board of Equalization time. Their concern is more equity rather than the actual value. But I also discussed with them quite at length that other people in their exact situation did come in during Board of Equalization time, and that was handled in the appropriate way, and they saw a positive outcome. But this particular one is really they're just wanting to see if they can come before the commissioners to hear it. We have already agreed to use the findings from the Board of Equalization as well as some other research to address all of the parcels that are underwater for next year.
Okay.
But
how much was the tax on this one? Is without reading clear through it again, 381 and 377.
So then,
$3. So the one they're comparing it to is much lower
Right.
in value. Okay. Any questions or thoughts?
The one that was much lower is the one that did go to Board of Equalization and get approved by them.
So next year, you'll probably adjust all of those that are under
Yeah.
water at the lake.
Yeah, and we do take the values that we receive from Board of Equalization into consideration for the next year's valuations, but we don't necessarily, if one person in a neighborhood comes in and their price per square foot is lowered, we don't necessarily have a domino effect and change everyone's in a neighborhood. We'd be chasing our tails if we did that, so we normally leave that alone.
Any thoughts? Swim.
If we're, just looking at the numbers here for these two parcels, again, kind of to echo what Seth says, I'm willing to work with folks for legitimate reasons and just don't want this to be an annual thing. But I think on this one, you're going to adjust it next year, so it would be not an ongoing issue, that I would feel okay to approve this adjustment for parcel numbers 2A-0191-0001 and 2A-0170-0000.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next one is 01-1808-0000. Taxpayer provided qualifying evidence to the assessor's office over the assessment of commercial property through the factoring process that took place this year.
So I can walk you through the situation. I've met with this taxpayer in early May. We went over their tax notice that they received, and they provided their lease information for their particular complex that they have just close here. And we came up with a new value. We placed that value into coins that it took their 2020 value of actual taxes from like 90,000 to like 91,000. So they did get an increase in taxes. And then we're not sure if during a push from our Puma system to our coin system, but when the final notice went out, our original values were back in play. And so this is one that we think a system push reverted those values back after we had met with the taxpayer, discussed it with them, and actually got a resolution before we even back all the way. It was like May, June that we had that resolution. And like I said, care was taken to go over their situation, that in the 2021 they were paying around 90,000, and then 2021 they were paying 90,000. This tax notice came out to about 91, and it was about a $7,250,000 for a shopping complex that's just here.
Okay, recommending we approve this one.
I do.
Okay.
This was a system.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next one is, it's a duplicate probably. Sorry, those are duplicates. Next one is parcel 02-1915-0000 and 1B-0239-0000. This is a green belt issue. So this is one, the property was purchased from the parents. And again, is that one ring a bell, Gillen?
I don't have that one in front of me, sorry.
This one is just in the process of the, if I'm remembering this one right. Yeah, they purchased the property from their parents. And then, so the Greenbelt application would needed to be turned in for it to be valid for them. And they didn't get it in time. Just probably was not aware of it. So they're just wanting their Greenbelt property to continue to stay in Greenbelt rather than your system kind of automatically kicks it out.
So after 90 days, after not hearing back from once we send that out, we do send a letter out to intend to remove, and then that's when that happens. I can do some research into this one. I don't have exactly to the facts to hand.
Both parcels are the same, a greenbelt issue, correct?
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
From their description.
Okay. Yeah, I can follow up with our recommendation, but I mean, in the during Board of Equalizations, we did accept applications that had been late to go back on and removing a rollback charge. And as long as a greenbelt can be established, we're not looking to penalize anyone that's using land in the appropriate agricultural purposes. So yeah, if I could have just a short period of time to verify that and make sure, because this one I don't have any information.
I'll make a motion to table until the next meeting when we bring the other one back as well.
Okay. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Next one is Parcel 1B-0277-0024.
So in this particular one, we had our wires crossed, and we had a couple of building permits come in, and the values weren't changed. Notes were put into the system, but this one, the home has been leveled. It has been gone. They do have a building permit to rebuild, but the values are non-reflective of what's physically there. So this one, that reduction in value leaves the core base foundation that they do have and some other improvements that they're going to continue to have on that piece of property. So
when they get billed, it'll go back up.
Yep.
Questions on this one?
No, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve 1B-0439-0000.
That's the wrong
Is that
one.
right? Oh. Parcel number 1B-0277-0024.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the next one, several parcels, parcel 01-181-00010. And then on the tail end, we're going to add an 11 and a 12 and an 18 and a 20. So they're all right parcels together. So
yeah, this was purchased from the Cromwell subdivision to the Southeastern Utah Local Association of Governments. They're holding them with anticipation of using them to use in their subsidized housing programs. And so they're requesting tax exemption on that, and they purchased them from a private entity, so we did value them initially, and now they've brought this to our attention. So we're seeing if we can push this through.
And as soon as they build the homes, they will go back into value
That's correct. So when the homes get built, they'll move into the person who's building them's ownership name.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve
I will
on those
sec-
parcels.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. This one is parcel 2A-0474-0000. This is a correction of the taxes owed. 2 home sites have been assessed rather than 1.
I think is that a repeat?
Pardon?
Yeah. Sorry, that's the first one we approved. I think you just got a copy.
Yeah. So that's a duplicate. Okay. Then we have parcel 01-0928-0000 and parcel 01-0943-0000.
Yeah. So this one is we have their application. It is dated before May, and this is an operator error that didn't get keyed in.
So it's to change from
Non-primary
to
to
primary residence. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve primary residential exemption for both of these parcels.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Does that finish them up?
I have 5 more, but I can, if you don't have them in front of you, I can email them for the next meeting.
Well, why don't you tell us about them? Let's get them approved if we can tonight.
Okay.
And then Kay can get her tax notice straightened around.
So this parcel is 1A-1008-0003. This particular parcel was in our Board of Equalization. The market value was corrected, but we did not enter it as primary residential, and so it was we overlooked it. We got the number adjusted to what the hearing officer was okay with, and we overlooked going from non-primary to primary.
The motion there.
I'll make a motion to approve parcel number 1A-1008-0003.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
So 1C-0966-0002. So this one is a green belt. This one that the taxpayer brought in their recorded notice showing that it was on green belt. It had been recorded but not filed in the system. And so it gets recorded in the recorder's office, and then at that time we get put into our system. It had been recorded in the recorder's office, and it had not got put into the system.
I recommend we do this one.
I do.
Okay. And the motion?
I'll make a motion to approve under those.
1C,
that number.
yeah.
And I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
So this is another greenbelt one for 02-1956-0001 and then 02-1953-0005 and 0007. This application, we held it up waiting for signatures, and we wanted to make sure that we got, because one of the landowners was in a different name, we wanted to get all of them, and this particular individual apparently got mauled by a bear. And we got it. We literally got all of these signatures. I think it was on the 11th. But we had been holding the moving on process for quite a while, and so this is one that I would recommend. They are meeting all the requirements for greenbelt.
Have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
These last two that I have here are both having to do with primary residency. This first one is 1B-0439-0000. This one, the taxpayer provided qualifying evidence to the assessor's office for primary residential exemption status. This one is a retired couple, moved to Schofield. They paid non-primary last year, but they sold their home in San Pete, and they have no other home. They thought they had to come in during when they paid their notice to make a declaration. So they don't have any other properties. I've done a search of their previous home or previous county, and I can only find they have home here in Schofield that they're living at. So this one is kind of one of those situations where they may not fully understand the processes, and so it's really it's up to you.
And when did they move into the home?
They paid non-primary last year. They've been living in it for over a year and a half.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
So this final one is 02-0858-0019. Taxpayer provided qualifying evidence to the assessor's office for primary residential exemption status. This is a new construction home. The homeowners did not realize that they had carried two when they sold their home in Emery. When they're building a new property, you could carry two. The state of Utah allows you to carry two while that new home is being constructed. They didn't realize they could do that, so they just had their primary last year in Emery. They sold that and moved in to their home here that they were constructing. That process of moving was during the time of that they would have been receiving notices and Board of Equalizations, etc. So our recommendation would be to approve it. It is their only home that we have.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
That's all I got.
Hey, thank
Thanks,
you.
Kellie.
Okay, thank
Appreciate
you.
that. Maybe just a quick note here. Part of why the deadlines are in place in any county in the state is that when all of the numbers are brought together for Seth's office to come up with a tax rate that is applied to everyone in the county, these adjustments take away from the money that all of the taxing entities here, the school district, the county, Pressure Water Improvement District, get in the end. So the goal is to try to get these things straightened around, and it's the responsibility of the homeowner to look at that notice that comes out in July and look at that carefully, and if they have questions, there's a process and the instructions are there, or to call here. And the same with abatements. Every one of those things factor in, and if everybody did their part, when the deadlines happen, then everybody, the taxing entities will get the money that we need to operate on. Now, these are small adjustments. They don't make or break us, but that's why there are deadlines. And to reiterate again, we don't want anybody's house, but the process is in place, and we're here on the tail end to try to help on the end. And we don't want people to lose their homes. We've never done that. And so we're here to try to help as much as we can. But we also have to gather in tax money to run the operations of the county that everybody expects us to run, and the things that were mandated by state statute and federal law to do. Any other comments?
Oh, I think you said pretty well.
Item 10 is to adjourn as the Carbon County Commission and convene as the Municipal Building Authority.
I'll make the motion to adjourn as the Carbon County Commission and convene as the Municipal Building Authority.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we'll convene at 5:35 as the Municipal Building Authority. So item 11 is to open a public hearing for a Community Impact Board funding application for Earth Products ecosystem.
If I could speak to this just a little bit. So any application that goes to the CIB, we have to have a public hearing, and that's part of the process that we're doing here. The funds that we're going to be requesting are not the typical CIB funds. Several years ago, when Commissioner Potter was on the commission, and he was also part of the Community Impact Board, there was there was a lot of extra money flowing around because of the amount of minerals being extracted at the time. So they took some of those minerals and set them aside. They were able to make a swap with UDOT. UDOT used their funds for approved projects, and then they were able to set that money aside in an account that has been sitting there. The original intent of that money was to buy capacity in the Oakland port for coal and other bulk commodities for the state. We were the money that was set aside was originally going to buy about 50% of the throughput capacity of the Oakland port. There's been a lot of legal hurdles and a lot of things happen. So now that money is still sitting there, and it was set aside to help those coal impacted communities, which would be Carbon County, Emery County, St. Pete, and Sevier. The port project, the Oakland port, has maybe some legs, but not very many to be able to move forward. So as we've worked with the other coal impacted communities, we think there are opportunities to be able to use coal in our communities for other types of projects. So this application would be a co-application with Emery County to develop an earth products ecosystem. So basically everything that's extracted from the ground in our region. The hope is that we could find ways of and work with companies like we're already doing to be able to find alternate uses for all of those minerals that are being extracted in our communities, whether that's oil, natural gas, coal, and any other minerals that would be or rare earths that would be mined or extracted from our area. This money, this application would be around $14 million for the Centerville Energy Research Center to develop a hydrogen, I don't know what you call it, hydrogen plant, so that they could study how to use coal and natural gas to extract hydrogen for the up and coming hydrogen markets. And then Carbon County's portion would also be a $14 million ask to put in some infrastructure for some companies that would also do some hydrogen production, as well as fertilizer and some other products. And the hope is that we can really build the ecosystem by putting in some of this infrastructure. We would be able to build an environment that would be conducive to other companies that are doing coal products research or manufacturing, whether it's carbon fiber, fertilizers, or hydrogen, or any of these other products, to be able to come in, because some of that costly infrastructure, namely power lines, substations, gas lines, would already be in place, and they wouldn't have to put those in, but we would get the taxation from those projects. Do you guys have anything else to add to that?
No,
You covered that very well, and I guess this money would be utilized, again, it was originally for coal and coal production. This would still be utilized as a portion for that.
Yes.
Coal, some of the customers that are talking to us do still want to utilize coal and other minerals as they move into this area.
Absolutely. The intent is if we can't get some of these projects or products out to foreign markets, then let's find ways to use coal here, even if it's in different ways than combustion for power, as well as natural gas. There's kind of a bottleneck in the distribution in between Carbon and Emery counties and the basin, so UNA and Duchesne. And so some of these projects would actually use a lot of or high volumes of natural gas. And so this would allow us to create more capacity for the basin to drill oil and hopefully help lower our gas prices.
And this money was originally set aside for the Oakland Port, however, it was never used. So this
Correct.
is money that's sitting at the state level.
Correct.
With a CIB.
Yes, the original amount that was set aside is 53 million. There's about 57 million now. And each of the 4 coal producing counties have some intent to ask for the money. It's very specific that the legislation that set this fund up has some very specific uses, hydrogen being one, the transport of hydrocarbons being another. There's one that escapes me, and then obviously the port. But what we're asking for, I think, fits within the law and would not need legislative change to be able to ask for the money.
The only thing I would add is this can really be a deal change for our county. As some of these type of industries move in here, the cost of them building their facilities is huge, which adds to our tax base. And the goal is that in our efforts here is to try to replace our lost coal mines and power plant in Castlegate that we received a fair amount of tax money from. And so the shift from 2012 till today, I think in 2012, those mines and centrally assessed properties brought in 60% of the tax to the county. And today it's shifted now to where they're in the 30%, and the homeowners now are shouldering the 60%. So if we can level that back out, that's really a lot of what our time's spent doing. This is a good project. So this is a public hearing. If there's anyone who has any comments for or against, that we would invite you to come up. Seeing nobody running up. I have a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we'll need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a
reconvene as the Carbon County Commission.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn as the Municipal Building Authority of Carbon County and reconvene as the Carbon County Board of Commission.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Maybe one thing tonight I'd like to bring up, hopefully it's not too late for people to hear, but we have had issues with our ballots. And Seth, I think it would be wise for you to give us a good update on how that process works and what has happened and why the ballots are still trickling in and many do not have them yet.
Yeah, and I might mention there's a good article on KSL.com that goes into great detail. And so I probably won't go into to as deep a detail as that does, but every election we contract, and so does every county in the state, contract with a printing and mailing company for our ballots. We've used the same company for about 20 years out of Bountiful. This year, or this election to be specific, there's been some issues with the mailing process. And what's happened, to the best of what we can tell, is that the ballots weren't sent as election mail or as priority mail. They've been sent as pre-sorted mail, and because of that, they went to a couple different locations they wouldn't normally go to be sorted and to be processed. It's delayed them significantly, and we apologize for that. We know it's been a real stress for voters as well as us. The ballots themselves have trickled in at least to mailboxes since Friday, and we suspect that they'll continue to do that until they all arrive. And we unfortunately can't tell people exactly when they're going to hit mailboxes. Because of that, we've asked anybody who hasn't received their ballot to come into our office. They can vote in person. We have in-person early voting Thursday, Friday, and Monday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and then regular voting on election day in person at the administration building here from 7 to 8 p.m. on election day. We've also had some questions, rightly so, about those who may not be able to make it to our office, whether they have ADA restrictions or otherwise. We've had some have called that had COVID, and we just asked that those in that situation, we have multiple options that we can get them the ability to vote. And so we've asked that they call our office, and we'll make provisions for them to receive a ballot or provide some way for them to be able to vote. We want everybody to have that option. Again, the ballots are in the mail, and a lot of people will still see those ballots coming. And so if they've already voted in person, which we encourage them to do as quick as possible, then as they receive their ballots, we ask that they tear them up, shred them, or they can bring them to our office. We have in our election software a way to track when people have voted, so we make sure that nobody double votes. And any ballot that comes in is required to have a signature on it. We verify that signature with signatures that we have on record to ensure that it is that person that votes. And again, if it's a duplicate from somebody who's already voted, then it's not counted. Just a little bit of information. So, and maybe just as a final thing, we obviously will not be using this company in the future that we've had this issue with. And again, we apologize and are doing our best to get the word out. But if anybody has any questions or needs any help, we ask that they contact our office.
Okay, so everybody has a chance to vote one way or another. If there's questions, call the clerk's office. What's your number?
Yeah, I apologize. The best number to reach us is 435-636-3227. That's our main line.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else?
I would just encourage people, if they don't think they're going to get their ballot, don't wait till the last minute. We have poll workers working for the next several days, so come in if you get a chance, and avoid the long line on the 8th.
So tomorrow and Friday, what are your hours?
So we extended our hours. It's 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Thursday and Friday, and we also opened up Monday, the 7th, for early voting, and that's also 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. here at the administration building.
And then on the 8th, will be from when to when?
Yeah, 7 a.m. is when we start, and we'll close polls at 8 p.m. One other thing that you brought forward, and I appreciate that, to my mind, is that if you are going to mail your ballots back, we've mentioned this many times, but just make sure that it's postmarked by the 7th. So if you're mailing it, dropping in the mail with a stamp, do that by the 7th. Otherwise, if you would like to, we've got ballot drop boxes in each of the cities, except for Prices, because we have 2 of them here, one in our office at this building and one outside. There's a ballot drop box. If you're going to place it in a ballot drop box, that can be done until 8 p.m. on election day.
Okay.
So if you receive your ballot on election day and want to vote that way, fill it out and drive it to this building.
Yeah.
or any of the other drop boxes.
Right, yeah, either this building or else we've got a drop box in East Carbon, Wellington, Helper, and there's one at Schofield.
And those are accessible till 8 o'clock.
Ours here will be accessible to 8 o'clock. The ones in the city buildings are just their normal hours.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't stay open later than that. So yeah, if it's after 5 p.m. on election day, then please bring it to our office or to our outside drop box. Thanks.
Thank you. So if you're going to mail it, Monday, it's got to be postmarked Monday, November 7th. Someone else had a... Dave, do you have a question?
I had a message alert sense from your office. And you might want to clarify that about dropping stuff off at the hours, because there's good information in the alert sense, but it's not the closure of the city offices versus you being open at 8. Better heads up.
Yeah. We did do a reverse 911 to try and inform everybody, but I'm not sure everybody receives those because it goes to landlines, or if you're registered landline. I don't know if it goes to cell phones. Did you ever find an answer to that?
Yeah, I've been in contact with dispatch. We're going to try to get a little bit better of a message out. I had a discussion with them earlier today, and I think the message, to be honest, was probably sent a little prematurely. So, but either way, we're glad that it got out and informed people. But we plan on getting a little bit better message out there. But either way, we're happy to get out the message any way we can. So.
And we're not the only county that's going through this. This is us and Iron County that are struggling through the same problem. So,
Motion to adjourn.
so moved.
We adjourn.
Thank you.